Are we back? Looks like we're back. Are we back? Okay, good. Imagine if the coded message was per my last email. That would be hilarious. It would. Not as good as if it was be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Mad props to anyone who gets that reference. Hold on, I want to... Man, their ability to just fucking block the chainsaw is wild. I do think it was something that got added in patch 1.06. Really livens it up. It's about the only... means there's still a threat in New Game Plus, and they're about the only thing that is. Here's the glimpse of the past. The most bizarre, insane adventure game Moon Logic puzzle from the original. So you can see a lighter, what was a wax doll, and a horseshoe on this trapdoor. To solve the original puzzle, you had to combine those three items. So in theory, you used the lighter to just gradually melt the wax doll into that little crevice, and then while the wax was still liquid, you inserted the horseshoe into it, and then presumably James waited for a minute or two for the wax to dry, and then he was able to use the horseshoe as a handle to lift the trapdoor. Meanwhile, he's carrying a steel pipe, which he could definitely just use to pry the thing open. Moon Logic. Classic adventure game stuff. Alright, it's quiet out here now, so let's finish searching the break room. Mainly we can read this note. Regarding the emergency medical examination report, the report's conclusions are incorrect. The prisoners are sick. Examinations are to be repeated until their condition is properly diagnosed. Use more invasive methods if necessary. We must know the true nature of this affliction. All else is secondary. So we made it to the other side of that furniture stack, and we are heading for the infirmary. Get him at the window. Become the Gank Squad. So that one's locked. This little ante-room. We've got handgun ammo and Toluca Prison. New rules of conduct effective immediately. 1. Guards are to keep their distance from the prisoners at all times. 2. Any attempts of approaching the guards by the prisoners are to be met with immediate disciplinary action. 3. Prisoners are to be confined to their cells until further notice. So then we get the actual infirmary. I don't believe there's any searchables in here or pickups. I'll give it a nice thorough look though. Hello. You must have been the head nurse. Right. Handgun ammo, shotgun ammo. Upper floor key. A key to the upper floor of the administrative section of Toluca Prison. Unfinished report. Repeat examination report. Conclusions. None of the examined show any clinical sign or symptom of a life-threatening illness, contagious or otherwise. The recommended endurance tests were also performed. The results have been submitted directly to the warden as per his specifications. Why are we doing this? Here's a health drink. We can unlock this door from this side. Now we just trek back to the locked door to the upper floor. We now have the key, of course. All right, up we go. Here on the second floor, we find ourselves above the chapel of all places. Wait! Look alive, James! It's coming at us. There you go. Alright, so... Whoa! How'd you get in here? How do I keep missing? Well, hello. No, dude! I want you to hit the one that's still moving. Oh boy. Well, that's silly. Anyway, as I was saying, that's that door back into Block C and D. So there you go. Now we've made it to the third floor, which, along with a few unmarked rooms, has the warden's office. So here is said office. I tagged it with the chainsaw, but it didn't die. How about that? Let's have a look at this. 66666666666666666666666666666666666 1 666 2 66666 3 6666666. Well, gosh, I wonder what we need to type to solve the puzzle. S I C K. Lightweight. Found in the warden's room. Oh yeah, unfinished report and unfinished medical report. And then if we go into this ante-room, whatever you want to call it, I think there's 2 ammo pickups. Yes, handgun and shotgun. And a save point, which I'm very happy to take advantage of. Alright, so with that weight in hand, we have to get back to the yard again. I'm gonna go through Block D. Down the stairs that are still open. I think that's the cleanest, most covered, safest route. And here we are. Alright. Woo! Last one. The Dove. To the basement we go. Alright, well, now a spot of good news. Once that seal's behind us, we trip that autosave, we no longer have to worry about the spider mannequins. By the time we get back upstairs, they will all be dead. Up to you whether that's actually a relief or not. Because on the one hand, they're gone, but on the other hand, something killed them. Alright, can't go that way. Can't get into that unmarked room that way. So we'll start going through cells. This is F4. This is lifted straight out of the original game, and I mean, they're weird, but they're also kind of just normal paintings, and there's nothing like overtly scary about any of them, and yet I find this cell in both versions so creepy. Woman in flight. $436 people at a recital. What's weird is not all of them, but just how many of them seem to have triangle or pyramid-shaped heads. Burning Man. So that was F4. So now we can go and start doing them in ascending order. Here's F1. Nothing. F2. Health drink. F3. Nothing. Here's F5. We can see inside, but it's locked. F6, we can see the weight we're looking for in there, but it's also locked. F7's open. And we got company. And the mannequin had iframes, because my chainsaw went right through it and nothing happened. C'est la vie. It happens sometimes. F8, we can open. Nothing inside. That was the sound of mannequins hiding. F9, we can open. Can break through a wall into F10, which has a ladder we will take later. F10 cannot be opened normally. Alright, we gotta go into the mannequin zone. And this area is packed. There are like 4 or 5 in this little collection of rooms, so eyes up. That was F12. Here's F11. Company inside. That was F11 and F16. Health drink here in F14. Well, get a health drink, use a health drink. We have F13 next door, which I think probably has company in it. Sure does. Company in the busted staircase, which interestingly seems to go further down. There were the bars we couldn't get through earlier. Here's F15. That noise, as you approach it, is unmistakable. And it's quite the iconography all over the walls, isn't it? Yep, we shouldn't stay here any longer than we need to. Let's crawl through here instead. Alright, this is unmarked on the map, but appears to pretty clearly be the guard room. Toluca Prison. Due to recent acts of inmate violence, prisoner D239 has been transferred to solitary confinement, cell F6. Here's the overflow cell. It's just so horrible. I mean, think about having to sleep on the mattress on the floor in just literally a cage in the middle of the room. And yet they do that to people. We were able to unlock F5 and F6 from in here, as well as unlock the direct way out. So let's go have a peek at those rooms. F5's unlocked now. The spikes kind of seem like overkill. Then F6, we've got... I am sorry, I am so sorry, I couldn't let them take you, and now you're still there, aren't you? Confession. A prisoner's personal confession. And here we get the lightest weight. There are 2 leaf buds engraved on it. If you pay close attention to the sounds, both when you see them elsewhere in the game and to what you hear here, you can tell that what is outside right now is a Mandarin. Banging on the door, trying to get in. Somehow, blessedly, it has locked us in, and more importantly, locked it out. The door unlocks. No sign of the Mandarin. At least until we get back upstairs. Where we can unlock this door and we discover it has killed everything. They are all dead, and boy howdy are there a lot of them. And it's now raining in the yard. Alright. So with the lightest weight at our disposal, we can perfectly balance it and get the execution lever. A lever used to operate the gallows in Toluca Prison. Sure enough, the scales are finally crossed off. Puzzle solved. So we use the lever. The ropes appear at each station. And we have this. These, I think I mentioned this probably on both of the first two playthroughs, but this is randomized. I have had different results on every playthrough so far, which is cool. I mean, presumably, it picks 1 through 6 for which one is correct, and for each of the 6, there's a version where that criminal is the innocent one, and a version where they're guilty, and it randomly picks one each time, which I think is great. Under veil of nightfall, in the ink of dusk, a blazing inferno engulfs the wooden husk. Screams of the innocent fill the night sky. He who hell let loose now watches them die. A contorted chill dances on his spine as their souls fly forth on Thanatos' sigh. No sign of regret, not a tinge of guilt, but a fiery urge to destroy what God built. That's the arsonist. Guilty. In twilight's grasp, a thief emerges sly, through the veils of night his purpose veiled awry. His nimble fingers like whispers they glide, in the goods of others his needs doth reside. His avarice driving every cunning theft, no conscience stirs, no remorse is left, not a hunger's pang, nor a desperate need, but a heart consumed with relentless greed. In a shroud of twilight, a tale... So that's the pickpocket, the thief. Guilty. In a shroud of twilight, a tale doth unfold. Where the shadows dance, their secrets are told. A shadowy figure, his motives unclear, steals his own kin, one he should hold dear. A cruel twist of fate, an outcome unsought. The little one perishes, it was all for naught. The kidnapper's tears his motives reveal. From a monstrous mother the child he did steal. So the kidnapper was trying to save his own child. Not guilty. In clandestine steps, darkness as his guide, the man ventures deeper where riches doth hide. An unseen intruder with motives untold, his hands eager to touch, to grab, and to hold. So this is the burglar. Beneath moonlit guise, a villain's design, he trespasses where treasures brightly shine. With a selfish hand, with greed as his creed, claims the spoils, indulging every single need. With her senses failing, she looks mouth agape at the one who forced her spirit to escape. Cold steel pierces vein, a sanguine flood, gazing back at her, her own flesh and blood. Someone who killed his mother. As the spark of life from her eyes did flee, the man held his gaze, filled with wicked glee. An unfeeling sigh the man's lips doth escape. A thirst for more bloodshed begins to take shape. In shadows cast, the hunter lies in wait, his violent intent cloaked in a veil of fate. An enigma unfolds, motives undefined, as the prey approaches, their fates intertwine. Desperation's grip suffocates the air, the attacker's past a tale of despair. A victim turned assailant, a tragic decree. On this night of judgment, pain sets both men free. So, he's not as bad as the others, but it's like vigilante justice versus trying to save your child. So I think in this instance, 3 is the one who was the most justified. So we will go pull on rope number 3. That was correct. We have arrived at the morgue. Not that it's on the map. We do not have a map for this area, so just kind of roll forward. Now I'm going to try and catch it on the camera. If you run in, if you look closely at the last body on the right, you actually do see the feet move, and you hear a noise, a gasp of some sort, and James's flashlight flickers like there's a monster. And then it... Yeah, you can hear a breath, and you can see the feet flex. Not just a morgue, it looks like they incinerate the bodies. Down another hole we go. Just a tunnel, no doors at all. But there are lights. This looks like a mine shaft to me. Not that it matters, not like we're going to spend much time. But then on the other hand, this looks like another prison cell. Down we go, either way. One other detail in this game that I think is really cool that I just want to point out here. James's fingernails are like spotless clean at the beginning. And if you look at them now, as we go through it, you can see they're grimy around the cuticles and there's dirt under the nails themselves. That gets progressively worse as you progress through the game, which I just think is awesome. Again, another one of those great moments of attention to detail. Now this looks like a mining elevator. Heading down into a mine shaft. We have arrived at the labyrinth. Not really. It calls this area the labyrinth. We gotta do the Abstract Daddy fight first, then we're in the labyrinth proper. That whispering you can hear as you walk down this hallway. The sound design, it's just an absolute 10 out of 10. Everything about it is so good. Already kind of seeing some stuff. A lot of empty liquor bottles, work boots all over the floor. As we make our way down this hallway. Autosave. And the newspaper. Body of a man later identified as Thomas Orozco, lumberjack, age 39, was discovered in the something room lying face something. Could be face up or face down, don't know. The probable cause of death was multiple stab wounds to the front of the neck and the left side of the torso by a sharp-edged weapon. The estimated time of death was somewhere between 11 p.m. and 12:30 midnight. Due to signs of struggle in the room and the lack of a murder weapon, police are considering this a homicide and have opened a murder investigation. Furthermore, given the fact that the cash in the room was untouched and Mr. Orozco had a history of drunkenness and violence, the police suspect that the motive was not robbery, but a crime of passion. I'm filling in Orozco just because I know Angela's name and we know that it's talking about her dad, who she killed. And probably the most justified quote-unquote one of the most justified quote-unquote murders in the history of fiction. Newspapers all over the wall. Memorial Herald. Haven't ever tried too hard to read those. Interesting the extent to which you could. So this looks remarkably similar to a Blue Creek Apartment 109, where we met Angela through, that time it was through this white door, which is now barred, and we picked up the key of resilience while we were there. The layout's the same, the Jesus picture is the same. We go through this door, which was inaccessible back then. So this, I think, is the door to her brother's room. Ghoul, Obsidian, Last Sonata, Fads, Storm Horizon. There's a skull there. Flowers here, and here we go. Have to mentally prepare myself a bit for this, even after having been through it a few times. It's a rough sequence.
Please. I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
Angela? Angela, it's me.
No. Please. Daddy!
Eat chainsaw, D-bag. Okay, so that's the room we got thrown out of. Angela's gone. So one thing Masahiro Ito said about this monster design after the original game was released is that it's important to remember that as horrifying as what we see is, it's still very abstracted. And the reason for that is because this is kind of what makes it into James's world of what Angela has dealt with in the past. And so what Angela sees, while it's left to our imagination, is much more explicit and much more horrifying than what James deals with during this encounter. Okay. Let's go through that open blue door. And I'll say this at this point too, just because, again, it's as you might put it, Karis, obscure as fuck, but a really, really brilliant intentional detail. The Abstract Daddy, in particular, is he actually has a weakness to melee weapons if you close the distance and hit him compared to guns. And according to the Bloober game director, that's because, and I quote, he isn't used to someone fighting back. This sequence is just so good. Like the area that is supposed to be your home falling apart and being terrifying because of what happened to Angela in here. The sound of the footsteps. The closet is safe haven, and the fact that all the sound stops when you go into the closet. And I'm actually interested to get to the end of this sequence too, because I read in patch 1.06, the most recent one, they actually this was present in the original, and for a while in the remake it was absent, but they added a breathing effect back to the flesh walls at the end of this sequence. So we'll take our time and look at that when we get there. Alright, so we don't need to engage him here. Like, if he corners me, I'll chainsaw him. But we can just juke him and get through the wall behind him. Industrial metallic nightmares starting to poke through the wallpaper. Kinda gotta remember closet is safe haven here. You can get rid of him with damage at that point too, but there's no reason to fight him. This is where he came out of. Really starting to see the machinery and flesh walls, which is, you know, I mean, we all know what it's trying to evoke at this point. But it's horrible. There they go. Yep. So they added that breathing effect in patch 106.
Where would you go? You're not gonna. No one. There's. That's for you. Watch you.
And here we get to the point where the safe haven, the closet, is blocked off and we can't access it anymore. Can see some blood here even. The rhythmic pumping of the machinery. Just look at that. The pistons. That effect. The piston effect was in the original too, but it's much more effective here in what it's trying to convey. And here we go.
Angela. It's okay. Calm down.
Don't order me around!
I could watch Angela throw that TV on loop for an hour.
It's okay.
It's very satisfying.
Don't even try.
Try what?
Like you don't know. I see what you're doing. It's always the same with you. You're only after one thing.
Angela, please.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead. Say it. Or you could just force me. Like he always did. You disgusting pig. I hate you. I hate you.
Angela. I don't know who you think I am, but I don't want to hurt you. I just want to get my Mary back.
You're Mary. Your own little Mary. At least she was. For a while.
What?
Admit it. You didn't want her around anymore.
No.
You probably found someone else.
No!
I need to find my mama.
I never.
Yeah, so, we can take a minute and look at that. And then we can follow Angela out of here. We wound up back in her bedroom. This door is open now. So, Labyrinth Center map. James, starts making his own. A map of the central part of the labyrinth. Strange wall. I'm gonna hold off saving just for a moment. Another legendary, iconic scene coming up through this door. One of the few where I prefer the VA from the original game. From Maria. I think James is
Maria! I thought that thing killed you.
better
Are you
here,
hurt?
but
Not at all, silly.
But the thing... It stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator and then...
James. What are you talking about?
just before. Don't you remember?
James? Honey? Did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So you are Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
Doesn't matter who I am. I am here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Well, if you happen to make up your mind, I'll be waiting.
I'll find some way to... I'll come back, I promise.
So no disrespect to Guy Seehee, the original voice actor, but I consistently think Luke Roberts just outclasses him in every way. Like, his performance in the remake is stellar. Maria's voice actress, whose name I can't pronounce, she mostly, I think, does a good job too. But there are a few places where I prefer the original VA, Monica Taylor Horgan, and this is one of them. I think the original Maria, it's hard to articulate exactly what the difference is, but it just, there's a little bit more venom in some spots, kind of counterbalancing the whole seductress act, and it makes her feel like simultaneously, it makes her feel malicious even as she's trying to seduce James, and it produces... Like, this is still very unsettling, but the original Maria in that scene was just a little bit more effective. Needed to be a little angrier, especially when she hits, "I'm not your Mary." The original was just a little angrier, and it worked better for me. Alright, so here's the rotating cube puzzle. Now I'm going to use this save point. And I am going to call it at this point. Got all the way through the prison and the Abstract Daddy fight, so for the third and final playthrough, for the final two endings and the final two achievements, we only need now to get through the labyrinth and to get through the hotel. So I don't know exactly when that'll be. It's about bedtime for tonight, though. So Karis and DLF, thank you both for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Have a lovely night.